Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and very welcome to Rbi Open API Day 2022. My name is Dejan Jovicevic. It is my pleasure to host this event today. As always with Rbi, super exciting speakers, super exciting panels, and obviously super exciting topic of Open API and open banking. We have a lot of experts, a lot of interesting topics. In the first panel, we'll be looking on the market situation, current use cases, challenges, and opportunities of the market. In our second panel, we'll go more into the insights of the internal implementation of all these opportunities, and obviously how to cope with the challenges and how to develop our organizational skills in a way that we can grasp the opportunities that are uprising. We have a lot of keynotes at the end, very exciting, and also ready for Q&A, so feel free, join us with your comments, join us with your questions. We'll be happy to take them and obviously pass them over to our panelists, our experts. I'm excited to learn about this topic, to learn about the updates and current developments on the market, and we'll start in a minute, but of course, at the beginning, we have Christian Wolf with us, Head of Strategic Partnerships and Ecosystems, and Rbi, who will give us his welcome words. Christian, very welcome. It's great to have you back on our stage.
Thank you, Dejan, and I wish you all a happy and interesting afternoon. I'm very, very happy and proud, actually, that I can welcome you back again here in this time virtual setup. It's been actually quite some while since we've hosted our first Open API Day. And Dejan just mentioned it, open banking, open API are terms that are used synonymously. But actually, we always said that open banking, as defined by providing the PSD2 services, we want to go beyond that. We think about APIs as being the connectors to the world, as those technical interfaces, as they might be defined, that help us integrate our services onto third-party platforms, but evenly important to integrate third-party services into our platforms as well. So it's all about connectivity. It's about embedded finance. You might remember, for those who have been in the audience already 2-3 years ago, that back then we've been discussing, actually, is there a business case for open APIs? Is there actually good reason why a bank as RBI should engage in that stuff? I think we have gone far beyond that question. Meanwhile, I think it's been proven that there is very good reason to do so. And I'm also particularly proud that the RBI Open API community does meanwhile exist as a vast array of different persons, of different profiles, of different capacities and capabilities within the group. It's not a single place, it's a community that jointly works towards embedded finance. And this actually really makes me proud and very confident looking into the future when it comes for co-creation and co-innovation based on APIs. We have built over the last few years the very foundation for APIs. And foundation, I do not exclusively mean the technical foundation. The foundation actually very much is knowledge. It's, of course, technical competence, but it's also relationships to our internal stakeholders who ultimately build and provide these APIs on which we can monetize on. But it's also, on the other side, equally important, the external developer community. And I'm quite happy to see that this engagement, this constant interaction with both communities, both internal and external, has reached a new, very productive level. This year's Open API Day also marks an internal milestone, because up until now, we have more or less run or organized this approach centrally. And now it's time that we move into a more decentralized approach. We think the organization has reached maturity. It has so many ideas, both on corporate, on retail, on market side, on all business lines that we want to leverage and build on. And we are very happy to see that all the colleagues in these named business lines are now actively engaging. So we will hand over the topic to all those who provide us with the real content. And I'm very, very interested to see what's going to happen based on that. I think one of the first panels is, one of the first panels is about challenges, but also learnings from these past few years. So here we can hear our colleagues discussing about what did they take as an experience from the last few years, because this is the very foundation that we would like to build our future on. And with Having said that, thank you for being part of that event. I wish you an interesting afternoon, and thanks for listening and joining us.
Christian, thank you very much for this intro. Always inspiring to hear you speak, and thank you for your pioneer work. And obviously, in all 13 countries, markets in the CE, where RBI really puts a lot of effort to build up ecosystems, to build up communities, to build exciting products in this field. Yeah, like Christian already mentioned, we have our first panel ahead of us. We'll be talking about open banking opportunities, what happened on the market from different perspectives. We'll have very distinguished guest experts with us. Erik Todt is head of open banking at Tatra Banka. Erik, very welcome.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me.
Then Philip Höfer is with us, Group Product Owner for Cash Management. Philip, welcome.
Happy to be here. Good afternoon from the snowy Vienna.
And Markus Unger, Raiffeisen Bank, Raiffeisen Digital Bank, especially with retail aspects to the topic. Markus, very welcome.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Before we deep dive into the discussion, maybe just like Christian mentioned, a lot of things happened in the past year. What are your key learnings, key takeaways to start into this discussion? What happened in the last year in the field of open API, open banking? Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I can go first if you want. So over the past year, sorry, Erik, if I
Sure, go ahead.
But over the past year, what happened is we actually created a new digital bank within Raiffeisen, especially focusing on retail products and as such end-to-end digital retail products. And to be very clear, without open banking, this wouldn't even be possible in the first place. So if you talk about open banking opportunities for us, it's even on a cross-border level, end-to-end digitally, to reach new client groups, to open up new markets, and that's already a huge thing for us. For example, we just launched our digital loan in Poland, a market where we haven't been present over the past few years. And again, that wouldn't have been possible without one or the other open banking aspect. But yeah, just as a quick recap on the last year.
Maybe just
Erik, do you want to go next? Maybe sorry if I interrupted you.
Let me just have a question on that, just to explain. What do you mean by digital bank? Do you mean also digital business models around this bank? How far, to what extent are you building these products?
Yeah, so the digital bank has a strong cross-border focus, and obviously, as you know, as everyone knows, RBI, we are very strong in Central Eastern Europe in the different markets throughout 13 network banks. But basically, those operate mainly very successfully, but in their own market. The digital bank is, if you want, a vehicle that can go between and beyond that, and actually also work on, yes, purely digital. So we don't have any branches, and we only have a clear digital focus across markets and in new markets where we haven't been so far. Yes, that's the approach.
Big milestone for 1 year, if I may say. Exciting.
Yeah, the preparation was a bit longer, but yeah, thanks. Anyway.
Eager to learn more. What about you, Erik?
Yeah, so if I was to summarize last year, then also very exciting for us. We managed to release a number of new premium API services. So we decided to go beyond just regulatory stuff, offering PSD2. And we actually are, I think, the only bank who is offering PSD2 aggregation as a service to third parties. We managed to build a nice ecosystem around it. So we have numerous partners with whom we are collaborating. And through this initiative, we are sort of commercializing the PSD2 and growing the adoption of this service. So that was a great success, and we are continuing with that this year. Plus, we launch other services such as offering installment loans through APIs, which enable us to get closer to digital platform, e-commerce platforms, e-shops, where we can offer our services. And we are competing in this very exciting industry of installment loans or buy now, pay later economy, like Klarna and all these players. So these are two highlights for us. Talking about last year.
Okay, Philip, what about you?
Yeah, happy to represent, let's say, the corporate area at this board, at this nice panel session. I can also say that, I mean, looking back 2 years, even more than 2 years ago, PSD2, was not, let's say, the huge boost on corporate side, because the API that have been designed were not, let's say, shaped in the way that traditional transaction bank with mass payments and so on are using. But now I think we have a really steep learning curve, the customers, but also we. And I think Eric mentioned it. It's all about the premium APIs, the additional, what we can add on top of the traditional protocols that currently being used in the terms of transaction banking. And here we really did a lot. We have now, I'm really proud to say that we have now nearly 40 APIs over the group that can be used by corporates to consume products and services. We have more or less even more than 300 customers that are already actively using APIs that we are offering. I think that is really a huge push and a strong success. And we see that the growing demand on corporate side is more and more given. And that's why we really prioritize it very high on our strategic roadmap. And that is what we want to pursue as well.
Christian mentioned it already in his welcoming words, a real success topic. Give me some insights on the real life impact of this topic. Is it something academic? Is it something that is exciting to develop for technologists? Or does it have such a real life impact that will reach the customers, that will have important impact on us all? Maybe for Tatra Banka, since you mentioned already, Eric, that you're...
Yes, well, I can bring up a couple of use cases for our premium API service. So, for example, we have partnered with a number of accounting and invoicing companies who are now using our aggregation platform and allow their users to connect their accounts through our API. And what this does for the SME customers is basically automates the whole payment or invoice reconciliation process. So the customers no longer have to compare their invoices versus payments on internet banking and have to do the manual pairing and a lot of administration which is involved. So this completely automates the whole process, and it can also go deeper, automate accounting. So the accountants don't have to manually type in transactions or download any account statements. This can be automated using APIs. So you're saving money, time to the customer. You're making his work easier and allowing him to focus more on the business rather than the administration stuff. And this is particularly important for the smaller customers who do not have the back office staff and people who can do this.
Philip, you mentioned the learning curve, especially in your department. Do you think that this learning curve will grow exponentially? Was this a phase of, let's say, getting to know the opportunities and maybe also dealing with challenges of this technology, and this will grow exponentially?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I would really confirm this over the last year, because we did a full review and redesign of our strategy, and we really wanted to demystify a little bit the piece of open banking. And here we have a very critical target group of customers. So we have treasurers in the corporate banking area who are seeking really efficiency, real value. We cannot just make a project because it's a cool API, but we really need to deliver value. And this is where we see really now premium API cases that can deliver this. On the one hand, we see API in the way of technology that we can provide faster horses, we can provide more real-time information, we can provide more clarity, faster clarity, on-demand clarity on account information, but that this is not transformational. But we see especially the strong power of APIs in transformation product, really new services that are not being, for example, available in the traditional protocols, SWIFT and EBIX. And this is where we see the real benefit of APIs. Pre-validation services, where we can deeply integrate into the client environment and already create a better straight-through processing rate, more efficiency, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot more to come. And that's really exciting, I would say, about the APIs. The transformational thing is what makes this so on top, yeah.
Markus, obviously, as well on the retail side, big opportunities arising. Would you have started the digital bank without open APIs? What kind of accelerator was the technology for that?
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, I think it's hard to imagine that it would work smoothly without a certain degree of open banking. If you look at the onboarding experience alone, I mean, you have been talking about opening an account or getting a loan in a matter of days. Now we talk about minutes, and that's really unthinkable. That wouldn't work without open banking. And onboarding probably is the prime example where it's most established for you. I don't know, KYC, identity verification, but also your credit checks. The bit of a challenge actually that we still see is the customer, because as far as I say that open banking is still at the very beginning, in my view, we already see had the feedback that, for example, an automated account check, or so checking of your bank account, actually leads to a certain percentage of drop-offs in the in the onboarding. And I think there was also a survey by Strategy Plus where only 20% of participants said they are willing to share data for certain benefits. Only 20%, and that has hardly improved over the past few years. And if you contrast that to obviously social media and what people share there, but also loyalty programs, price comparison websites, where people partly very happily enter their personal data, it's a bit odd, and it's clearly something, banking is about trust, and it's clearly something about actually the customer learning more about the benefits and what it is about, and what benefits actually he or she gets out of it. So I'd say we are still at the very beginning, but to your question, from a digital bank perspective, it wouldn't have been possible or far more difficult without an open banking aspect.
A lot of value, a lot of new value created for all of your customers, be it corporate, be it retail, private. But is there also new opportunity for the bank? Are there new business models arising for you guys as well when using these technologies? Maybe give us some insights on that.
So if I may, then I can share our experience, because for sure those premium APIs are premium because they are something for which from which bank can or is actually generating profits. Yeah, and this is the stuff that is a bit different from like selling traditional bank products versus selling APIs. You're actually not selling APIs, you're selling the solutions built on top of that product. So when, for example, when we are trying to sell our premium API service, then when we are talking to these third-party providers, we are actually not selling them the API, we are selling them a solution for account payment reconciliation or automated accounting, and we are trying to work out a joint business model with those partners, how this solution can generate profit for the bank as well as the customer, because these are the added value services which those third-party providers are offering their customers for extra price. Yeah, part of it comes to bank, part of it stays with the partner, and it's a joint business model. And you also need a different type of person for that kind of selling. Yeah, it's solution selling. So basically, you're not able to utilize standard branch personnel. You need like a business development manager who is able to drive those discussions, develop these joint business models with the customer.
Mm-hmm. Philip, do you see opportunities arising, business opportunities arising on your side, on the corporate side?
Yeah, of course. I just can agree that the premium APIs, really the additional on top of the regular APIs, are the ones that we are focusing on. When I said about demystifying the beast, I meant that we really have to put a neutral focus on, really quietly think about where really can provide benefit. And let's say it doesn't mean that each and everything on the treasury world or on the corporate world need to be replaced by APIs. Sending a payment in 1 or 2 seconds earlier to the bank doesn't provide any benefit. But on the other hand, providing account information in real time, on demand, whenever a certain event is happening, is definitely bringing something. And we know it from concrete customer scenarios where customer already selecting banks based off this capability. So they still using traditional rails, Swift, EBIX like this for payment, but looking especially for APIs, for example, to consume information from the bank.
Maybe give us just some insights on the other side, on the challenges that you faced. Markus mentioned already, the topic is still young. We're still at the beginning, developing exponentially, growing into the topic from all sides. I'm really impressed actually how many milestones you reached this year, but still, were there any challenges? Can you give us some tips and tricks on how to cope with them?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think I mentioned already ago, step back and really think about the true value that you can deliver for your customer. Don't be panicked or whatever, just about because it's an API. Think really about it's a product, it's a mean, it's a possibility, what you can deliver. Secondly, I would say, and this is still what something where we have to better partner, especially also as banks, and compared to traditional protocols, there are still lots of different standards out there. And if we look at global corporates, for example, who are not, let's say, in the Central Eastern Europe, but also in America, there are different regulatory standards for Open API. This, of course, makes it a bit difficult. But in the end, I still would say, wherever, let's say, the value is bigger than the limitation of standards, the customer will consume a certain API. And this will, again, go into the premium API discussion we had before.
Markus, I assume the regulatory restraints, especially in the retail sector, could be a challenge as well.
Yeah, Dejan, you're right there. So, I mean, happily in the EU, theoretically, we have one framework with PSD2, but obviously there are local differences, national differences, and we are active in Eastern Europe as well, outside the EU. So it's interesting to see that not the legislation as such, but the readiness for technical innovation is very different from one country to the other. And in our view, it's, again, that's still at the beginning, because I mean, video identification, we mentioned onboarding is allowed, but why do I have to identify myself if I open 3 different financial services 3 times and all those things? And things are happening there, and that's a path we are on and a journey we are on. But still, I say the technical readiness is very different from market to market, which is partly understandable because, again, I mean, banking is about trust, and it's all about, IT security and compliance and all those good things that are really necessary because people trust us as well because all of that. But getting that mixture right between actually being the trusted partner, being a safe partner for your money, and opening up your products and your systems, I mean, that's a thin line that really needs some fine tuning for each product, actually. Yeah.
Exciting. Eric, to wrap it up, I remember the discussions at the beginning a couple of years ago where many banks said, well, we're not sure whether open APIs are a threat for us because fintechs could attack us. If I listen to all of you guys, opportunities are immense for the banks to serve your customers even better and to develop new revenue streams. Do you think this will be the future as well for the banks?
Definitely, yes. So, and this is how we approach the issue. Yeah. So we don't see open banking as a regulatory requirement. So we see it as a business opportunity or business approach where we have the chance to create value for the customer and for the bank by creating integration with third-party application via API. This is like our definition which we take and with which we approach open banking. And what we're trying to do is exactly what Christian told during his introduction. We are trying to build APIs so we can integrate with the third-party platforms, so we can be closer to the customer in those digital platforms where they operate. And at the same time, we're trying to become a platform of our own by enabling third parties to integrate into our platform and develop a business on top of that. In this context, maybe just a very, very final question. Obviously, it seems to be a field, and that's why partnerships in all kind of aspects of this topic. You partner when you develop new product, especially in the field of open APIs, with startups, with other innovators, and I guess you will continue to do so. Of course, we do that, and we engage in various different activities. How to bring in new partnerships. So, for example, tomorrow we're starting another Open API Hackathon where we look to find new solutions using open banking, and we do elevator partnership programs where we also try to find new partnerships. So yeah, a lot of activities to continue this way.
Fantastic, groundbreaking work, and I'm really fascinated what you have achieved in the last year. How many, to develop a bank and all other aspects of the topic that you mentioned. Thank you very much for all these insights, and all the best. I'm looking forward to hear your updates in a year. Excited to hear that. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
So we're moving on to our next panel. Just as exciting, obviously, when you have new business models, when you are opening up your bank, that also changes the processes, the internal processes. It changes maybe the culture, it changes the way we work with each other. And I'm super excited that we can look onto these internal aspects of challenges and opportunities when it comes to open banking. And we have with us Tanya Imamovic, lead Open API at RBI. Tanya, very welcome.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be here.
Hey, Gerhard Fröhlich, Head of Department Group Core IT at RBI. Gerhard, hello.
Thank you.
And
hello.
Last but not least, Sudeep Khan, Retail Open Banking Leader at RBI. Hello.
Hey, Dan. Great to be here, too.
Hi, guys. Great to be here. Looking forward to our discussion. For me, this is very interesting and important discussion, as we as a small company put a lot of efforts in developing our culture, our processes, so on and so forth, in order to realize the market opportunities. How is this? How can we imagine this in such a big corporation as RBI? Tanya, can you just give us an overview? What kind of impact does this technology, these opportunities also have on your internal life?
Yes, of course. What is really important to mention is that open APIs for the banking industry are really transformative technology. And at the very beginning, in his introduction, Christian mentioned that we actually talk about embedded finance. And when you try to kind of imagine what kind of impact this would have on one organization, then the change that the organization needs to go through is huge. And we realized this really at the very beginning, right? We started kind of with PSD2, but very soon we realized that we don't talk about pure regulatory project, something that has a beginning and end. We understood that we talk about technology that will change the way how we serve our customers. It will change the way how we define what a product is. It will change the way how we define relationships. And in order to achieve that, we agreed at the very beginning that we want to start to manage the topic centrally, because this change also needs to be managed only at the beginning until it's mature enough to kind of be scaled throughout the organization. And just to bring maybe some things that we had to do throughout these 3 years. First and most important one was talk to as many stakeholders as possible. We had to reach out throughout the organization to kind of get to everyone from the highest level, meaning board members, to really people who will work on the product, developers who will execute that. Then we had to ask ourselves, okay, what about knowledge and skills that we have? Are we ready as the organization to build and develop these type of products? Are we ready to be part of this connected economy and to be open? And then actually we also had to ask ourselves, okay, but what about our products? What about the way how we define a product? Where is the beginning, where is the end? How do we manage that? Who are our customers? For the very first time then we actually had to understand that we need to start to serve external developers as well, if we want to be part of this connected world around us. So the change that one organization needs to go through, especially if we talk about organization as big as Raiffeisen Group is really big. Sometimes it felt that it goes really slow, but now when we look back at everything that was done and where we are today, I'm really proud to say that the group is ready to start to treat open APIs and open banking as business as usual, which is a huge achievement.
This is a huge achievement for anybody who knows, so to say, anything about the development of organization. How would you estimate the maturity level? Were you able, I think Christian mentioned it, already to start the implementation in the business lines? Can you give us some insights on what stage are you at currently?
Yeah, we don't have officially defined levels of maturity, but I can compare the very beginning when there were only few people within the group that we could talk with about open banking. And then end of 2021, where within each business lines, meaning retail, corporate, markets, everywhere we have people responsible for open banking, people thinking about how open banking can help us as an organization to serve better our customers. So I would say that we are somewhere in the middle, right? There is still a lot of work ahead of us, especially in the area of making it happen. Right now, we across the organization, we have many ideas. We are filling in our backlog, but now it will be also about the execution. So I would say somewhere in the middle, if we look at the journey, how we know it today, but I'm sure that things will change in the next 1 or 2 years, and then we will have to adapt all over again.
Fascinating, Gerhard. What about on the engineering, on the IT side? What kind of changes did that bring for your team, for your organization? It's kind of also a new field to discover.
Yeah, from our point of view, so what we did, what it changed actually, or what it helped us to change, that also my teams are working in a complete agile software kind of delivery mode, which was maybe 3 years ago really new in a bank. So in the meanwhile, it's the normal thing. So I think we also contributed to that change, how we build and deliver our solutions towards business units like Tanya or Sudip. So that is one big thing. Of course, that's brought a lot of kind of engineering capabilities into Rbi, which we didn't have so in that intensity maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, and of course, all those enablement of those kind of autonomous teams and their decisions and stuff like that. And of course, as we built everything in a public cloud, that was also a new thing that, a bank goes into a public cloud, which was maybe unthinkable 5 years ago. Yeah, so I think it's not only our achievement, it's achievement of many, but we played also a role in that kind of transformation, how we deliver software in Rbi.
Were you able to develop your team further in this direction, or did you have to hire new talent to, so to say, bring maybe new skills into your team? How can we imagine it very practically, so to say?
Yeah, practically it's have been greenfield teams. I think in the open banking tribe, we didn't have one developer, so we started really from scratch, hiring people, also work with externals. Also, of course, there was an exchange of people over some time, so certain things didn't work out. But actually, really, I think, especially in open banking tribe, I work with people who are with us since day one of open banking. That means somehow end of 2017, beginning of 2018. Yeah, so that's currently the age of this team. Yeah.
Tanya, if I'm thinking about the previous panel and the market opportunities arising, use cases that are being built, the digital bank that you guys were able to build in 1 year, all the corporate applications, the Tatra Bank use cases, and still coming from a very early adoption, starting with low maturity, building up the teams. Does that mean that this topic would accelerate massively, given the fact that also your organization is growing, that you're implementing the topic into the business lines? What can we expect?
I strongly believe that this will scale, right? If we look at the way how open banking is being developed via one connection that you open, you can touch many, right? And if we don't talk about one-to-one relationships, we talk about one-to-many. So naturally, comparing to 2 years ago when we had only Tatra Banka, one use case and one partnership built towards multiple markets, multiple business lines, building and opening up, definitely open banking will scale. What is important to say is that the definition of open banking will probably change because open banking can be looked from many different perspectives, right? If you want to have a digital bank, then by default, you have to have open banking capabilities integrated within your engines and services that you are providing. If you want to continue to provide real-time services to retail customers, then by default, you have to have open banking there because you have to use open APIs in order to be where the customer is at the moment when customer expects you. So open banking will definitely scale. I think it will be just hard to define the concrete line between the open banking product and use case and everything else that we are providing to our customers. But the only way forward for the banking industry is definitely real-time openness and connectivity.
Sudeep, speaking about looking forward to what's up to come, what are your projections, so to say? What do you expect? What are the future plans?
Well, so, sorry, our focus for this year will definitely be to tighten up our open banking portfolio a little bit more to prove that we can actually generate revenue. And Eric kind of mentioned that in the last panel. We want to show that this could be an additional revenue stream, or we could create additional revenue streams for the bank. So the team so far, as everybody has said, has done a tremendous job in building the foundation. You know, Christian was actually mentioning that too. We used exactly that word. And we went from, as Tanya was saying, exposing regulatory APIs, consuming them, then building our internal APIs, and then also publishing a few premium APIs. So our focus for 2022, so this year, will be to put more products on the shelf by exposing some of the internal APIs that we're building. And then by the same token, also working on some additional use cases that we could basically put in our marketplace. Yeah, so we just got to get laser focused on the things that we're good at doing right now at the bank. And I believe that a lot of that has to really do with compliance and regulatory issues. So if you look at our third parties that are out there, so the fintechs, the big techs that want to work together with us, they don't actually have the expertise in the compliance area. They don't have the expertise in the regulatory area. And we, for decades, as banking institutions, having to follow all the regulations that are out there, have had to adjust our business accordingly to that. And so we have that infrastructure in place. If we can somehow provide that as a service to these new partners that we're trying to attract, I think that will go really well, and we can generate some revenue off of it.
Yeah, one more question that I find quite interesting. Tanya said you have a new sort of stakeholder, the external development community. How do you interact with them? How do you, so to say, also set your team or get your team ready to get this mindset of interacting and seeing the external developers as your partners, as maybe your clients?
I think one tool or vehicle which we are using are those hackathons. Yeah, where, by the way, also my team is participating. So this is open for everybody. So also as I have developers, they can also apply, of course, for those kind of hackathons. And I think out of that, we kind of see, you know, what works and what doesn't work in that community. And of course, we also get feedback from my developers, for example, what they think can work and not work. Yeah, but there is not now a direct exchange between, you know, also like say that they actively communicate with an external developer outside. Maybe they meet each other occasionally on a meetup, but maybe they even don't know that they cooperate. But I think that they tick the same, yeah, I guess. And I think what developers need are good descriptions, good documentation, working things, and the environment where they can try out stuff. And I think this is exactly what we provide here. Yeah.
We've heard that obviously in this field of open API, open banking, you guys are partnering, building up an ecosystem with external startups, innovators, and so on and so forth. Did that change the way you guys work in the IT or development department as well, being open to maybe new partners, new things that maybe in the past you did by yourself?
Yes, of course. So also I think our cooperation changed a lot from, let's say, big consulting companies to smaller shops which are specialized to certain things. Yeah, so this is actually what I see, that we more or less cooperate and contracting people, organizations, or smaller kind of more boutique providers for very specific things. And I think that works quite well, because also this kind of complements our already now increased competence. So we don't need to go, let's say, to one of those big fives. So we can really say, okay, for a specific problem, we go to a specific boutique, normally a young company, and we get some talents for a couple of weeks or months, and then maybe we continue or not. So this has changed. So I work with completely different providers than 3 or 4 years ago. Completely, yeah.
Tanya, maybe just...
Dejan, I just wanted to add something to what Gerhard was mentioning regarding the collaboration with developers. This is also one of the big changes that open banking brought to the group. In terms of product, we had to, but we recognized that in order to collaborate with external developers, in order to expose our APIs and services and make sure that there is someone ready to use those, we actually built up a completely new product that we call Rbi Open Api Marketplace, and you will also have a chance to hear something about it, I think even immediately after our session. But so this really shows nicely not only that we started to collaborate with developers and organize different events, we actually had to build up the platform and to start to invite external developers to join us, to test our services, to give us feedback so that we can understand what third-party systems and products and services need from banking and how we can contribute.
And this will accelerate probably in the future as well. Open API without external partnerships is probably not to imagine.
Yeah, if I may add to that too. So Eric again mentioned something in the last panel, which is really important to us right now, and that is that we really need to focus on the area of creating a software sales organization within our company. So, we've got the products on the shelf, we've got the shop, which is the marketplace, but now we actually need people to go out and sell our solutions too. And for that, there's a completely different skill set that's involved. And traditionally speaking, we don't really have that in the bank, right? So we're going to have to work with our account managers who have in the corporate section, educate them on how to identify potential partners. We'll need to educate our legal procurement teams on how to handle the contractual agreements. And we'll also need to work with our marketing teams to figure out how we can promote these new digital products, right? So it's not just, it's one thing to ideate and create something, and then you want to build it, then you want to put it in a store or somewhere where it can be sold, but then somebody actually needs to go out and sell it so that we can do what I believe is the next big step for us, which is monetization, monetization, monetization.
Fantastic. We're going to be hearing about the marketplace in a second. Tanya, maybe just to close with a quote from the previous panel. I'm not sure who exactly said it, but I found it very, very exciting to read it again. Open API is not a regulatory aspect for us, it's a market opportunity. Do you agree with that, and will it remain that way?
Definitely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
100%.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm really excited that you guys are really scaling this business, starting with a small initiative, centralized, now decentralizing this opportunity, and really scaling open banking. Thank you very much, and see you latest next year with next updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
So I'd like to welcome on stage Jiří Solek, Corporate Digital Manager at Raiffeisen Czech Republic, and he will be giving us a keynote on the role of the marketplace in the world of openness. Jiří, welcome on stage. I'm looking forward to your keynote, and feel free to give us questions. I'll have a couple of minutes to ask Jiří these questions. The stage is yours.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Thank you for that opportunity. And let me say one more time, hello from Czech Republic. As Dan mentioned, I'm working on the Premium API, which is our product API. And I would like to share our story, how we put this product on the marketplace. So I hope that the image is right and you can hear me. So maybe, as we know, or as we mentioned, everything started in 2017 when PSD2 regulatory came on the Czech market and also in the rest of the countries. And it was a time when the hype and the expectations and also the fear for the banks were really high. So there were numerous consulting companies and numerous startups who would like to introduce something from an openness of bank. After the 2 years, the situations, let's say, is stable because something which is called regulator and our Czech market is a Czech National Bank, introduced the process of the certifications, and nobody was able to get the license or the certifications. Until these days, we have only 5 subjects, and the companies which already get this license and the certifications are able to work as a bank. Mainly, the reason is that the product and the PSD2 regulatory is oriented on the retail market, and it's mean that there is a chance to have a new product. So in 2020, we introduced the Premium API, which is the product focusing on the third-party providers which don't want to have, from some reasons, a license to PSD2. So today, we have 2 basic services, which is the common for banking. The first is service which you are able to get the transaction history, intraday informations about the movements on your bank accounts, and also kind of the history, which is the same like a statement. And also we introduce the basic flow, how to initiate bulk payments over the API. So as a third partner, you are able to send us an instruction for the authorization in our net banking from the users. So the benefits for the products is that we are going to make the whole process for mainly for the accountants and ERP partners be a little bit easy, to be less risky, since we eliminated the human steps, and also we give you a chance for any kind of the innovations, since you have the necessary information in your softwares. And for that, you need to be a focus on many users because you have 2 services, but somehow you need to cooperate with so many users. So mainly we are focusing, of course, for the account owners and for kind of the CEOs or financial responsible people. So because they have a power to say, let's do that and change something in the companies. And because we are in the IT and this product needs to be somehow implemented, we need to also give the right information to the IT engineers. In the meaning, IT engineers from another companies, because the chain is somehow working with another companies who is responsible for your IT in your small company. And also they need to cooperate somehow. And also we somehow need to gather all necessary informations when you will be able to get the benefits to be for this product, and also have a technical documentations. So we have too many things to say to our users that we need to somehow solve that issue. Also, after a short pilot, we receive positive and also negative feedback. After the first year, we know that the most of the use cases are somehow connected with the basic service, which gather you an information about the transaction history. And the reason is because it's a main thing you do with your finances, and also it's a necessary information for accountants. Bulk payments import initiative is really tough for the implementations, since you need to somehow understand the formats. We support it, and also the process is not easy because there is so many validations before you sign up the transaction. And also we found that the users has a problem with our process and the implementations. They are missing, for example, live accounts for testing, since let's say the developer is not connected with the Raiffeisen bank account directly. And also we found that is really problematic to penetrate big ERP providers like an SAP or Helios or Asacol or any kind of the big players. So we focused on the, let's say, small fishes. When the implementations, it's much easier. So in our user journey, everything starts with the technical documentation when somebody needs to register, get the necessary information what to do, and get the basic picture about the implementation. After that, you need to obtain from the owner of the account a certificate, which can be downloaded in your net banking, in their net banking. And it's sometimes necessary to activate the necessary services at the branches if it's not visible in the net banking. And then you need to somebody who will be supporting the service and explain everything from the process of the activations or how to code necessary callings in that case. So you may see that there is too many steps and too many people involved in that process. And in that case, you need to have one single point of contact, let's say, or one place where all information will be. So we know that we need to somehow introduce our API for Salesforce and also for basic people to be able to gather the informations. We found that product is really cool, but nobody understands what does it API mean. So let's start with the basic introduction. You need to present the API values and the benefits. And also there will be many questions about the pricing and the legal. We would like to have a kind of the call to actions because we will, and by the end of the day, to sell the product. And we had our final requirements to easy handle that kind of the solution and portal. And after that, we introduce our basic first product, which is a current, which was current developer portal. And it was failed because we was hungry from the information and the contacts of the users. So we introduced the first step, which was the login. There were no product differentiations because we put every kind of the APIs together with the PSD2 APIs and the premium APIs. So the main focus was on the PSD2 APIs, which is a different process, different style. The web is, let's say, kind of the old style and full of technical informations. So we found that we have too many informations. What to do? So we introduce another place, which are current web page, which basic informations, which are mainly focused on the accountants and or CAOs or which company. So we only would like to say, hey, this is API, this is a common information, and there's a call to action to the developer portal. Just do that, and you may guess what happens. We fail again. And the reason was that it was really hard to find because it's behind the navigation of our current web page, deeply inside the navigations. Not necessary information for the developers, so which was the main users who were searching for the informations. And also, we didn't translate the page, and the page was only in the Czech language, which was, let's say, also another fail. So, how to fix it? We sit down and we improve any kind of the tagging. We work really hard with our searching engines, and after a while, we was able to list up all necessary information when you ask Google for a premium API or a Raiffeisen Bank API. Everything was fine, and you may guess, we failed again. And the reason was that we didn't change the developer portal. The developer portal was the same. So we linked all the traffic inside our developer portal, which is still same. So, okay, we changed the searching engine, we changed the traffic schema. Also, we introduced kind of the micro page, everything was linking and everything was spotting for the developer page, which is also the fail. So we tried a different approach after a while, and our new hope is Rbi API Marketplace, which is a little nice place. It's a cool place. Everything is all herein. We spent only 6 weeks of development, or mostly gathering our wording and running sandbox for production. Also, we remove all obstacles like registration, testing certificate, or everything like that. And it's fine right now. So on the Rbi API Marketplace, we have a production information for a premium API. We put together all the best, which is focusing for non-IT people and also the IT people. We remove everything which is necessary, and we hope it will be working all together. So my conclusion for that, or would be fail, make it simple as is possible, because this product is about the simplicity. Nobody understands IT. You can test it with your wife or kids. Maybe you will be surprised. Make it short. Nobody read. Nobody. Honestly, nobody. Even the developers are lazy to read anything. So it's about the minimum obstacles and the minimum text. Have a personal support, somebody who is able to catch the fish, or is not afraid to make a call to your client, because you will be surprised from 2 reasons: how fast is it, how cheap is it, and also how many feedback you will receive after that. So it's about also the connection, about the personal connections at this kind of the business, and don't be shy to collaborate with the other users. I think that you will be able to find any kind of the, let's say, IT lovers or people who are open to new products and to new innovations, and observe and gather your feedback, because everything is about the feedbacks, and it's the best way how to recognize what are you doing well or not. So that's everything from my side. So fast, guy.
Thank you, Yuri, very much. I'd have 1 or 2 questions for you. You mentioned at the end of the day, it's about selling the product when talking about premium API. Now, in the previous panel, we heard from Sudip, that's kind of a new thing. The traditional bank is not used to selling, so to say, premium APIs. Do you have any experience on that? Any tips? How do you make your organization also able to sell such new products that you develop?
Yep. We was really surprised after 1 year of running this product that, for example, many people knows what is API. So the people are, not the people, third parties and common users are asking for the APIs, owners of the e-shops or any kind of the accountants. So I believe that the API is familiar right now at this moment, and start with the small players, because it's simple for the implementations, and also they are more open to change their systems.
Is it selling the API currently still a lot to do with educating the market, or is market ready for the product?
Market is ready, meaning let's say in the middle segment. And for example, before the Christmas, we make a deal with a major ERP system here in the Czech Republic, which is called Pohoda. And we was able to triple the numbers in the meaning of the activations in the first 2 weeks without no communication. So word of mouth is working, and also people are able to recognize the benefit.
Great. Maybe just a final question. You were talking about user's journey. how was your personal journey in this new field? How did it feel? What kind of challenges, opportunities did you cope with?
You mean APIs?
Yes. Well, for you personally, while developing the product, what are your key learnings? Maybe how was the experience as well pioneering in this topic?
Personally, it's about the timing and the support from the managers. Because if somebody trusts you or is open-minded, you're able to deliver this kind of the product. But I understand that, if everybody will be talking about the monetizations and about the value and the price, it's hard tough to introduce something. So thanks to my managers that they are so open that they are able to support such products.
Fantastic. Thank you, Yuri, so much for your keynote and all your insights. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. Stay healthy, guys. Bye-bye.
Ciao. We're moving on to our next keynote, Rbi Marketplace and Trade Finance Reporting API. And I'd like to welcome with me Catalina Aratiano, Product Owner, Rbi API Marketplace at Rbi. Hello.
Hello, nice to see you again there.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see all the guests again.
Looking forward for updates already. Andrea Cintulova, Senior IT Consultant at Rbi International. Hi.
Hello, hi.
And last but not least, Werner Klapka, Senior Expert Product Manager in Trade Finance at Rbi. Hello, Werner.
Hi, hello.
The stage is yours. I'm looking forward to your keynotes and your discussions, and I'll join in at the end with a Q&A. So the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Today we would like to tell you something about trade finance. Trade finance is all about issuing bank guarantees and letters of credit, and also the financing products there too. And this is a real paper-based business in the past, but we now see really a demand for automation and demand regarding APIs. And this is also the reason why we said it would be a good start to create a sandbox API. First of all, I would like to tell you that especially the large corporate clients, they're having a huge trade finance portfolio, and usually they are spreading the transactions to different trade finance banks. And this is the reason why reporting is a very value-added service for our clients. And this is also the reason why we are sending automated reports on a quarterly basis to our clients. Yeah, and this directly brings us to the use case. First of all, I would like to explain you the current process. Let's assume that we have a client that is doing business with RBI in Austria, but also with 4 different network banks. And currently, he is approaching each individual bank. He sent an email to the bank asking for the outstanding transactions they're currently having with him. And currently, the problem is that he is getting 4 different emails with different content. It could be the case that the data is not consistent. That means one bank is delivering real-time data, but another bank is only having end-of-day data available. This could also be the case that one bank is delivering an Excel file, but the other one a PDF. And also the formatting of the individual attributes can differ, like, for example, the currency in the front or in the back. Yeah, and this is the reason why we said that this shall be changed. That means we are now thinking about the next generation of trade finance reporting. Yeah, and the future process should look as follows, that the client will trigger an API call directly from his system, either from, for example, an SAP or a treasury management system. And the API call will land at RBI. We will consolidate all the data from the network banks, and the client will get the feedback with the consolidator within a few seconds or minutes. We are live with the sandbox since September, and we also approached a few clients. And what we hear from the client is that they are very interested in this API use case. That means they really valued our initiative that we will go in this direction, but they were also mentioning that currently Excel reporting, that means that reporting by Excel sheet is still a standard in the business. And one company in the construction area mentioned to us that they are now trying to harmonize Excel sheets. That means they're not thinking about changing to an API. And we think that the time for this API will come. It could come quite soon, because when you look at the next steps, you see that there are 2 standardization initiatives on the market. One is hosted by Swift. Swift is well known in the trade finance area. Banks are exchanging Swift messages on a daily basis. That means it makes sense that Swift is developing standards for APIs in trade finance area. And the second initiative is by ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce. And we will closely monitor these 2 initiatives, and maybe we will have to adapt the API sandbox if needed. But we hope that these 2 initiatives will come to one result. In the worst case scenario, we will have 2 different standards in the future, but we hope that we will at least have one, and we will adopt to the standardization, and then we are ahead of the curve and we can approach our clients directly. The second one is that as the client now needs a little bit of time until they are changing on their side, we can do our internal homework in RBI and check the connectivity to the network banks, because now we have to connect to each trade finance backend system of the individual network bank and to collect all this data to have the consolidated data here in RBI. This is the next concrete next step that we would like to do. And the third one goes beyond this use case. In the trade finance area, we would like to create an API connectivity to a third-party platform on the market, which is called Comgo, where we see a lot of demand and a lot of clients are jumping to this platform. With this, I would like to hand over to Andrea.
Thank you so much. From my side, also a few words towards the implementation of the use case. So first things first, I'm more from the IT side. I'm product owner for the API Hub team, which has been doing the technical implementation of the use case. And I think it's really important to highlight the collaboration between business and IT. I think that it's really crucial in order to, first of all, identify the use case and to overall simply bring the value to the end customer and to jointly contribute to the RBI's mission of continuous innovation. So if we really think about it, business is the department which is really in daily touch with the customers. They really know what their needs are, what their pain points are. As on the other side, IT, we have the technical capabilities, we have the knowledge from the technical side to implement the change for the customer. So I want to highlight that really it's only through the collaboration between those 2 departments that we can become competitive as a bank in the open banking world. And through this, I also want to thank you, our colleagues on the trade finance business side, for such wonderful collaboration. In principles, basically, we are always trying to follow best practices and market standards on the market. We are having also PSD2 experience. For the PSD2 APIs, we have been following the Berlin Group standard as well as Czech Open Banking standard. For the trade finance, as Werner mentioned, there are 2 initiatives, 2 standardizations, which we all still need to check. As basis, of course, when we were defining the API, when we were creating the Swagger, we were taking the Excel reports from the trade finance colleagues, and together we defined how the API should be structured, how the API should look like. As Werner also mentioned, the goal was to replace a lot of manual work with automation and to make the life also easier for the customer. So to distribute the information to customers in a more efficient way so that really they can pull the information on demand whenever they need through the API in a consolidated way instead of the cumbersome emails here and there. How we are actually working within our tribe, and it's not just for the trade finance use case, we are usually trying to focus on the sandbox use case first so that we can really verify the value of the API towards the end customers. In this case, we were focusing first on the test data from Austria and from Russia. And as Werner mentioned, we also were testing with some selected corporate customers to validate the value which the API brings. Basically, our aim, of course, once the corporates are also ready, once they have also adjusted on their side, of course, is that we don't stay with the sandbox use case only. We want to bring also the real production API for the corporate customers based on the feedback which we collected. The API can be further improved, etc. And to take this even further, we are always looking for further horizons where we can bring the APIs. So I dare to say that there is even more potential in the trade finance area. So right now, what we are talking about is really the reporting API, which is providing the as-is look at the trade finance business for the corporate customers. But I think that there is even more potential if we are thinking about also creation of the new trade finance business through API. So not only the get API, but also the post API for the initiation of the new business. But overall, we are very excited about this use case. And step by step, let's see where this takes us. And through this, I would like to hand over to Catalina, so my colleague on the API Marketplace side, who will demo the use case for you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Hello, everybody. Since 1 year ago, since we last presented in the Open API Day, there were quite a few changes to our API Marketplace that you can find at api.rbinternational.com. First and foremost, I would really like to remind everybody that we will continue this weekend with an event with a hackathon that was mentioned a few times before that. So I encourage people who are interested in open APIs to also visit our hackathon that starts tomorrow and ends on Sunday. During the hackathon, we encourage all the teams to use our sandboxed APIs that you can find here on our marketplace in order to bring more added value to our end customers, to our common customers. On our marketplace, as you can see, you can find all the APIs that we have to offer from various countries, and countries have been active. I want to thank colleagues like Iji, who spoke earlier, and I also want to thank colleagues from business lines, Philip, Sudeep, Andre, who I'm not sure if he's present now, but they are doing a tremendous job into expanding the use cases that we have way beyond regulatory, and as everybody was saying, always aimed at bringing some extra value and not just, playing with APIs, like really bringing value to our customers. So if we go to our APIs, you can see here we have all these nice categories streaming from various API providers in our group. In our case, I want to show you the trade finance API, how easy it is to get now the data that Bernard was describing earlier that comes from various PDFs and Excel files and not even in the same format. So this is our API, a few clicks to get to the page. And this is where anybody who's interested from a technical perspective can see the documentation of this particular API. In order to try it out, there are two options. So somebody who's very familiar with how to call this API can just go directly to this authorize button and try it out. But I want to show you an easier, friendlier way, which is also something that happened in the meantime since we last spoke. We in RBI implemented a very new feature for testing API calls with just a few clicks in a very friendly user interface, and we call it an API flow. So I'm already registered for the sake of time, and I will go to my apps dashboard. I already created here a test, but I will start from the very beginning to show you how easy it is. So I will add my app. I'm a developer. I want to try a trade finance demo. And I will just say here, I'm trying a trade finance demo app. And I want to connect then my app to the environment of RBI, our provider. In our case, RB International is the provider for this particular API. I'm creating now the connection live. And now, since RBI has more APIs than just trade finance, I need to choose which API I want to call. As you can see here, we also have a locations API, but in this particular case, I want to call the trade finance API. So I'm adding it to my app. Good. All is prepared. As I was saying, we go now to API flows, which is this super easy way to call this API. I'm choosing my trade finance flow and I click execute. Werner was describing the fact that we did a prototype with reports from two countries, Austria and Russia. Let's say I choose Austria for the sake of our audience. And I just click proceed. And what do you know? All the data that is hard to get in various reports in various forms is now available at just a click of a button. So everything here just came in, a few minutes. And for somebody who already registered their app, it just will come directly from the bank to their app whenever they want to use this API call. Yes, it's as simple as that. I was prepared to do a more detailed presentation, but honestly, it's just as simple as that. So I hope you liked it. I encourage everybody who's interested to create an account here, to log in, try, and send this call and contact us if you are interested in such an API. If you are interested in more use cases than this, there's also a contact option. Write to us. I read personally all the emails, and I promise that I will take care of them. So it's nice to see everybody again, and back to Diane.
I have a few questions to you guys. Diana, you mentioned that selling reportings to clients is obviously one of the main initiatives, and I've heard from Sudeep and from Jiri that this is kind of a new thing for the bank, selling such products to your clients. How do you go about sales activities? Is the market ready? Do they understand what you're offering them? Do you have any experience on that?
Reporting in trade finance, I think, is here for the last 10 to 15 years, and we are also sending these Excel sheets to them also for the last 10, 15 years. And I think we are having a good offer for them, that they are well served from us with the Excel sheets. And this is maybe also the situation that the pain for the client is not that big. And this could also be the reason why, they maybe adopt not that quick as we would have expected. But I'm pretty sure that in the next years, they will also adopt to the new generation of reporting, and they would like to trigger the report directly from the ERP system of their system.
Okay. Catalina, you mentioned the collaboration with business lines. They're expanding the use cases, as you mentioned, which is very impressive. Also, the speed that you guys have in this topic. How did this come to be? Obviously, how did you excite the business lines for the topic? Do you have any insights on that? It's not self-evident. It's rather impressive how you guys cope with the topic.
Yes, and I think Tanya also mentioned it earlier. It was a group effort, and it took a lot of discussions and a lot of meetings and a lot of convincing and a lot of advocacy. We are super happy to see that we succeeded, and it's spreading throughout the organization, so moving to this more mature phase. Yes, I'm personally happy to see more and more use cases published on the API Marketplace. It means that we are ready to open up to the world. And we will do our best to promote these APIs in a friendly manner, not necessarily only as a technical solution, but to explain to the world what you can actually achieve by using these products.
And in case the dev community has any questions or wants to talk to you and needs support, they can approach you anytime.
Of course. As I was saying, I read personally all the messages, so please write to us.
Perfect. You mentioned the hackathon, which is taking place tomorrow. Maybe just give us a few insights on that in case somebody who's interested for that would be here.
Yes, there are two challenges. So we are organizing this hackathon together with partners in Slovakia, Tatra Banka, Cube, and Superfaktura. So there are challenges that each of the partners gives to the teams register, and then it's a pretty classical format where there are mentors from all the organizers, and we follow what the teams have to do. The teams will have to choose their targets, so to say, so their challenges. We will be with them for 2 days, guiding them, explaining them the business case, giving them inside information from the bank, what is interested from the client's side, how to pitch also, and hopefully at the end of the hackathon, we will have winners. I would like to say that the winners from last year, they are already in contact with the bank and developing their solutions. So I think this is the main takeout. Please come. We don't just do it for fun. We are actually looking for very serious collaborations with the winners of the hackathon. So fingers crossed to all the participants.
You don't just do it for fun, but as I remember last year, you have a lot of fun while doing it, which is
also true.
We have one more question from Jürgen Hummer. I will just read the whole question. Might be perhaps a little technical, but for me goes hand in hand with any API. So the question comes, what authentication mechanism do we actually support or require when we offer APIs to the public? And then he goes on to say, I understand that PSD2 is very much based upon certificates, most likely not heavy IAM tasks on API provider side. For other APIs, even for simple client credential-based flows, how do we support API operations with proper credential rotations, customer IAM, self-service, etc.? So the first question was, what authentication mechanism do we actually require when we offer APIs to the public? Whoever wants to say something to that.
Maybe I should. So yes, actually, PSD2 and this trade finance use case is very different from the authentication perspective, because in PSD2 we are providing the access to external third parties, right? It can be whatever fintech, other bank calling us, and they have to have the certificate. So we are authenticating the certificate, the underlying license. We are using also OAuth 2 for generation of the tokens, etc. Here in the trade finance use case, we are actually talking through the APIs with our internal customers. They are already, we know they are their identifiers, they are onboarded in our systems, they're our corporate customers. So for the sandbox use case, of course, this has been simplified, but for the real use case, we are planning to collaborate with our other department, DaVinci, and we'll be using internal so-called Ping ID identifier, so internal systems for authentication.
Great, thank you so much. Maybe the second part of the question, I'm not sure whether this answered it. In case yes, just let me know. So he's asking for the other APIs, even for simple client credential-based flows. How do we support APIs operations with proper credential rotation, customer IAM, self-service, etc.?
To be honest, this is already getting a little bit too technical for me. But again, I would say in case of PSD2, we are doing the rotation, of course. So with every call, there has to be a fresh set of tokens released for the TPP, right? There is the calls based on OAuth 2, for which we get always we release always the new refresh token and access token based on the valid consent, which has validity for 90 days. In this case, for the trade finance, I believe the most proper answer would have our solution architect, which is not with us, but it has been a little bit simplified. First of all, yeah, we are still in the sandbox. Second of all, we are talking about internal corporate clients. So yeah.
We just got another question, so I'll just read it quickly. Suleiman is asking, thank you all. 2 questions. First, if you would rank the top 3 use cases that we can enable, which ones could they be? And then the second question, which new APIs are the top priority for you in the near future and why? So the first one, top 3 use cases, if any of you has some idea on that. And the second, which new APIs are on top priority for you in the near future and why?
I think I can take the first one then. I think that the next hot subject would be payments. So we see a lot of interest in payments solutions based on APIs. And also, I think instant payments are really, really hot in the near future. Of course, most of the use cases still come from using accounts aggregation. This is really where the consumption is shown in the account aggregation area. And I'm happy to see that the next use cases are now coming from the corporate area. And Philip will follow with his presentation, so I really don't want to be a spoiler here.
Okay.
May I ask again about the second
question? Which
part?
new APIs are the top priority for you in the near future, and why?
I can also take this one, and I want to say that since we are maturing as an organization, that the priorities are now decided by each business line. So basically for us as a platform, we are agnostic. We are happy to host everybody who wants to publish an API on our platform. So very much everybody now decides on their own. So retail decides which are the priorities in retail, and corporates decide which are the priorities in corporate, and everybody is welcome to publish their use cases on the marketplace. I think this is really the sign of a mature organization. So there's no longer this overarching big brother who decides which are exactly the next best things, but based on the customer demand, these things start to happen and to appear.
I guess we were able to break the ice. Some of the questions are coming. Just a quick another one. Olga is asking, which open finance services, if you consider industrial use cases, do you plan to implement? Which open finance services do you plan to implement? Whoever wants to.
To be sure, I really don't know how to answer this one. Maybe we can take it and answer in the chat.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll give you all the questions from the chat as well, in case you guys then want to contact the colleagues and discuss further. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you also for the questions, and see you soon. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're moving on to our final keynote. Philip is coming back. Philip Höfer. Philip, very welcome. And you're going to be talking about open banking in corporate. Looking forward, and I'll be coming back at the end for the Q&A. So feel free again to ask questions for Philip, and I'll pass it on to him and discuss it at the end of his keynote. Philip, the stage is yours.
Yeah, happy evening now, I would say. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope you can see me via the screen. I have the privilege to talk about open banking corporate in the corporate space, unlocking the value for corporate clients. My name is Philip Höfer, and I'm a group product owner for cash management in the Rbi group. The next 15 minutes, I would like to structure the presentation as follows. Let's first set the scene, looking at the current situation on the corporate side in terms of Open API, open banking. Secondly, let's have a look at the opportunities, and especially also the success factors, which are very relevant to raise the adoption on the corporate side, which is still a topic there. Third, very tangible use cases. I brought with me 4 use cases, which I would try to present on a very practical way, also as food for thought. And last but not least, I would like to share our RBI journey, what we have already in our pockets and what we are going to do as a next step in our backlog. Setting the scene, the situation. I mean, looking back 2 years or even more than 2 years ago, the situation around PSD2, I mean, that was a quite challenging, quite exciting one. I mean, consultants, analysts walking around, more or less draw a very dark picture for banks. Banks are under attack. Their revenue models are under attack. I mean, looking now back with a more neutral view, especially from the corporate perspective, I think we can say, yeah, these apocalyptic projections did not materialize 100%. However, I think PSD2 definitely made us think about that, and we learned a lot. And we have a very steep learning curve, especially here on RBI and corporate banking area. And I think also our clients did a journey here. If you look right now, according to a global survey, we see that the numbers and the interest in API is growing year by year. Almost 30% of corporates are already exploring and leveraging APIs and are trying and are already using this. This is a global study, however, maybe not 100% applicable for Central Eastern Europe, but still we see also in the talks to customers that the topic becoming more and more relevant. If you look at the bars on the top left, which is a very representative survey for us because it asks the European treasurer, which are more or less also our customers, we see that out of a list, I think out of 20 items where they want to put a focus on in the next few years, API is growing and growing and increasing and increasing. And if you look at the first top items that they mentioned, real-time payments, real-time liquidity, real-time information, so everything about speed, transparency, those key themes of treasurers, of corporate bankers, I think it's pretty simple to say that API is actually a lever to exactly reach that. So I think we can say that it's a very interesting topic already at the corporate side, and we are gaining more and more interest also from our corporate side, from our customer side. If you look on the supplier side and the provider side, so us, the banks, we see also that the number of APIs are growing and growing in the market. I think it's quite clear and understandable that we all started based off PSD2 in terms of payments and accounts. So this is the biggest offering that is currently out there. Now we're trying to extend this, batch payments, instant payments, name it like this. But what we also see on the corporate area is not only payment and accounts, we see also that other areas in the corporate area are already tapping into this and creating offerings and investigating there. One of my colleagues just said it before, I presented it, trade finance, supply chain finance is a good example. And also cards and foreign exchange, which we also have already here in RBI. Before going into the detail, I think it makes sense to a quick look at the ecosystem on the corporate banking world. Very simple. We have on the left side the corporate client who is consuming products and services. On the right side, we have the financial institution that is the provider of these products and services. But what is maybe special and what is different to the retail world, especially I would say for the large corporates, we have significant players in between treasury management systems and ERP systems. Those are the one-stop shops which provide embedded financial products and services for corporates. They are integrating different banks. Corporates, usually large corporates, have many multiple banks, and they are on the corporate environment to integrate those banks and making this multi-banking happening. In addition, more and more fintechs are emerging, which provide innovative product services on top of these core transactions, banking data and capabilities, provide more insights and analytics in transactions, liquidity status, and so on and so forth. So this is more or less the ecosystem. When we are looking now from a corporate perspective on the API generally as an open technology that has deep integration capabilities, we think about 4 concrete benefits that API in general can deliver before going into the real use cases. Number 1, access data and functionality, and we compare it a bit to the current existing and traditional protocols like EBIX, like SWIFT, that are currently in place and they're still mainly used on treasurer side or corporate side. We see that APIs with their ability, with the capability, can even improve here the speed, the transparency, can provide real-time information and can provide also information on demand and also based on certain events that are being triggered. And I think it's a difference if you're getting an account status and account information a couple of times or twice a day or even just once a day at the end of the day and the treasurer has to work 24 hours with a balance, or if you get it on demand in a real-time frequency. And thinking about the corporates, once again, we're not talking about one account, we're talking about hundreds of accounts. We're talking about 20, 30 bank relations, for example. So that is quite complex. Also the integration, we see that we really can speed up onboarding and also the technical onboarding, establishing connectivity. Also, when we look at the traditional protocols, setting up a connectivity, even if it's SWIFT, it's quite cumbersome, it's time-consuming, it takes weeks, in some cases it takes a month to set up the connectivity. Each setup is different, different parameters, etc., etc. When we think about APIs and technical capabilities, we think about small onboarding toolkits that we can integrate into a partner landscape and that can easily start and establishing the onboarding. So we can really reduce it from weeks or months to 1 or 2 weeks, the onboarding. That's our promise here. Operational efficiency. I mean, still, we heard it before in the trade finance area, still a lot of information that is flowing from corporate customer side to the bank side is still in email, in claims, in a very cumbersome manual way to be done. I think the deep integration capabilities of APIs make it easy to exchange, to replace many of those areas and many of those scenarios right now. Trade finance is just one example of what we heard before. And last but not least, innovation. The openness and the ability of APIs enables us to really does not only produce faster horses to more or less create fast and better services that we know now, but it's really a possibility to create transformational products, new services based on different APIs. I mean, Uber is a perfect example out of this world, but also the time to market is something that we can focus on. I'm just bringing the example. I mean, instant payments was founded or was established in 2017, but for corporates using and leveraging eBIX as a protocol, it was only available 2 years after because it took so long time to get it adopted into the eBIX protocol. What are now strategic moves that banks can do and how they can connect to the customers? With RBI on the corporate side, we see 2 moves that are possible and they do not replace each other, do not exclude each other. On the one hand, we see the banking as a platform approach. So that means we are the single interface to our corporate. We provide all the services and products. We even provide account aggregation if it has bank relationship with other banks. Everything will be provided under our channel. However, this is not an option for all of the corporates. This is more an option for the smaller corporates. For the large corporates, I already mentioned, they have in most cases a very mature treasury environment that is already establishing this multi-banking. Here, our belief and our promise is that we try to create small, easy consumable APIs and services that we can integrate directly to the client's environment to exactly make a painless banking invisible and directly integrated to the process of the customer. What about now? I mean, I think we all can confirm that API on the corporate area still is, I would say, in the beginning. I would say there are still traditional protocols. There are still the standard ways like Swift, who are doing a great job in bread and butter functionality. But what is now really the case? What are really now the arguments that we have to consider? What are the success factors to increase the adoption? I mean, on corporate side, we have a very I would not say a very criticism corporate client side. They are putting very much focus on efficiency, on speed and transparency. So just saying we are doing a nice use case via APIs is not enough. So really think about the real customer value that API can provide. Premium APIs, in addition to that, I think that is the right way. So think about that, what kind of efficiency, what kind of additional value you can provide. Then the next step is if you have already convinced someone that there is additional value in it, I mean, the next thing is that the expectation from client side is really plug and play. Those services, those products need to be really easily integrated. If they, for example, replace a traditional and existing protocol, these need to be easy and these need to be fast in order that really a corporate say that it's going to adopt. Last but not least, if you're talking about services and products, and I already mentioned before, the ecosystem is, especially the large corporate area, very much connected and very much tied to EPs, ERPs, and treasury management system. There, most of the or many of the bank processes already start. So we need to collaborate with those partners to on the one hand to integrate to the clients, to get to the client's environment, but also to scale our offering. So this is a very clear very clear move. And of course, also others like fintechs or other ones that are providing value-added services. Last but not least, I think this is also very true for corporate, but in general for the banking, security. Make sure that you really adhere to the best practices on security side, authentication services, and all that stuff. That must be really super proof because this is something that really need to be in a very, very good state in order to convince somebody to move from a traditional protocol, which already makes a very good job, to an API. If you're now looking into the use cases, I brought 4 use cases with me that I think are very tangible, and they are showing that APIs really can provide additional benefit. Payment pre-validation. Think about a large corporate, thousands of employees. This large corporate want to send salary payment very close to a cut-off time of a bank. For whatever reason, that payment is going to be rejected, canceled, whatever. So this is a lose-lose situation for everyone. The employee who is expecting the money on his account to pay the bills, the corporate has something to explain, and of course the bank as well. So it's a lose-lose situation for everyone. A pre-validation check could be that every check that usually going to happen at the bank's environment is already integrated into the client's environment. And that means that whenever there is something to be done on the payment, whenever there is the corporate clicks on the send button, this payment check is already being done immediately. That means that whenever there is something not correct with the payment, it's already identified at the client's environment. This, of course, helps also to avoid efforts on the bank side to investigate on such cases and so on and so forth. Secondly, electronic bank account management, and this is also a representation for all kinds of self-service families. Self-service is generally a huge topic where we believe APIs can help. But electronic bank account management, again, huge corporate, treasury department, many users, they have the need to create accounts, they have the need to assign certain signature rights for each and every employee, because not everybody can sign a payment about 1 million, so they have different signature rights and limits. This to maintain with different banks is quite cumbersome. In some cases, you are going to a support desk. In some cases, you have a portal at another bank. But what we truly believe is that this service can also integrate it into the corporate's ERP and treasury management system to make it really very easy to consume service, and they press the button, getting back a digital response on that, giving a status on that. They have a very clear view about the status, or about the account opening, or about the signature right update. Third, a very interesting area, a bit beyond, I would say, but also here, something where API can help. The European Union, in order to reach its climate targets for 2030, they really need to know where to invest, what kind of projects they should invest in terms of sustainability. And they are urging more or less corporates for the audit processes to take their transactions, if they are green or not. This will drive, let's say, then the decision on investments on support. Here, I mean, the bank who is receiving and sending millions and exchanging millions of information with clients would be, of course, the perfect example. We are receiving these transactions. We connect databases out there. We are already categorizing this, and we are not providing only account statements back to the clients, but we are providing a green score, a taxonomy, a score that they can then later on use for the audit cases. Last case, real-time leasing lending, a very concrete one because we are currently working on. Founder of a very renowned car manufacturer has the vision that, let's say, a checkout process with a lending finance option is going to take place in 600 seconds. How can this be done? Client already knows what kind of car he would like to purchase, entering the purchase process at, for example, at the car manufacturer's shop. They sit in front of an iPad going through the checkout process. They are selecting the finance option for leasing. In the background, an API will be called. Customer data will be sent to this API. In a real-time or near real-time case, this scenario, this data will be evaluated, validated, and will send back, for example, yes or no. Very clear. So the idea is that after 10 minutes, the consumer can walk out and already have its first speed fine after a few minutes. And now, what is the current status on RBI side in terms of corporate banking, corporate APIs? I think I mentioned already before, we are doing and we are really putting this in a very high priority on our strategic roadmap. We have currently 39 APIs that can be consumed and from corporates. We have more than 300 customers across the group that are currently already using APIs. All of those countries, all of those RBI network banks and banks that are currently providing APIs, of course, are providing the bread and butter functionalities like payment initiation, account information, etc. But we have already some premium use cases on top of the regulatory ones. Just a few here to mention. FX transaction, for example, are very relevant for our corporates. A very clear possibility to get visibility of the FX rate at the time when they initiate the payment, and they have 1 minute time to fix that or to confirm that FX rate, and at the same moment they have a very clear picture about, let's say, the fees. So very transparent and very customer-friendly way for FX transactions. Pay later, something what we have already in the offering on Tetra Banks. So we're providing here a service to merchants which they can offer to their clients as an additional payment method, and then the end consumer can conveniently use this payment method and will be automatically and in real time also checked if he's eligible for that, and that is confirmed back to the merchant, and then more or less green light is given for this checkout process. List of bank guarantees, my colleague before on trade finance also mentioned this. Also here, clear visibility on trade finance transactions, which is a very still very paper-based business, but here to get the clarity on the specific status on a guarantee, if this is already given or not. I think that is very essential. And we have, of course, a lot of things to come. I talked about the pre-validation. That is something that we find very relevant for especially for corporates and treasury consumers, because this is driving really straight-through processing, really efficiency. Payment tracking, also something that we currently provide in the portal, but we want to provide it also as a service to our clients to conveniently use it in their environment. Real-time leasing, I already mentioned this before, and everything around the, I would say, bucket about self-service, e-account management, just one of those things that we are currently focusing on. And in order to further develop this, we are 100% clear and 100% sure that we cannot do it alone. We need partners. I mentioned before, to scale offering, to bring it to our client, to integrate. So ERP system, treasury management systems, we have some corporations already established throughout the group. Also in the head office, we are currently heavily intensifying our discussions here. And of course, all others are highly invited to jointly brainstorm about future options and use cases. Yeah, having said this, now I come to the end of my presentation, and yeah, I hope we have still some minutes left to take some questions. Happy to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much. I have one question for you. Your slide just said more to come on premium APIs. How do your clients go about it? Do you have to educate the market a lot, or do they? Is the market ready for your products as you are?
Yeah, I think we have to put a very neutral focus on that, and that's what we do here. I mean, we don't believe that API will replace each and everything. I'm just giving you an example. Corporate, for example, is still using traditional protocols for payment and do not want to replace it by APIs because it doesn't make sense to send a payment 1 or 2 seconds earlier. It doesn't make sense. But what he wants to do is, what he wants to have is very eagerly to get back information, reporting information in a real-time manner, on a demand manner. And that's, for example, some of these extra cases, what we believe. And pre-validation, I think, is also a very cool example because it's a very simple feature, but APIs and integration possibilities make it happen that we can deeply integrate into client's environment and really provide value, meaning increase straight-through processing rates, increased efficiency, and so on and so forth. These are just 2 examples of this.
And when you speak about more to come, can you give us already some insights, some sneak previews on that? Maybe just 1 or 2 to understand, or is it still confidential?
No, I mean, this is just, let's say, an example here, a backlog that we're currently working on. So the real-time leasing, real-time financing API. The pre-validation is something that is on a very top priority for this year that we are focusing on. Payment tracking as well for the second half year to make this also, let's say, consumable as an API as a service. And of course, we're still constantly focusing on small self-services that are currently manual, that are currently cumbersome, to exchange them by small, lightweight APIs.
Exciting times. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was it, our API 2022 day. Thank you for the API to the API Open API team from the RBI. Really, really good speakers, very real life topics that we discussed today. I'm fascinated by the development that was shown here. Thank you to all the participants for your participation, for your questions. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to get some insights, some updates on this very important topic. And I hope that we were able to show the real purpose and success behind the concept of Open API. I would like to finish with a quote that one of the experts shared with us today. It's not about regulation, it's about market opportunities. And I think RBI is one of the top pioneers discovering this market, bringing it into the business lines, accelerating the business opportunities here, and all of us will profit from that, be it corporate clients, retail clients, and also new business cases for the bank will arise. Those are my takeaways from today. The topic is hot and accelerating strongly. Stay tuned. We'll keep you posted. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye.
Thank you.